Hey Eurovision fans, we have the full results of semi-final number 1 of Eurovision 2024. We had 10 qualifiers and 5 non-qualifiers. I'm going to go through all of the stats and the numbers to tell what were the main stories that happened in the semi-final and what could it mean for some countries going into next season. So let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So first of all, in case you didn't see, I already did a video where I talked about each country's results and how that sits in terms of their current trajectory in the contest. This video, I'm obviously going to be focusing just on semi-final number 1. I've also got a video coming up on semi-final number 2, and then I'm going to do deeper dives into the grand final as well. So make sure that you're subscribed so that the YouTube algorithm tells you when those videos come out. Okay, so the main story for me in the semi-final was the running order. In case you saw my qualifier prediction video that I did before the show, I was agonizing over the fact that I wanted to put all 7 of the songs that were in the first half of the first semi-final into the final because I felt that this was the strongest quarter out of the 4 quarters in the 2 semi-finals. Now, one of the reasons I was hesitant about that is that we had never had the first 3 countries all qualify in the top 10 before. Technically, in 2008, Charlotte Pirelli qualified in 12th position, and so the first 4 countries qualified, but Charlotte Pirelli wasn't in the top 10. She was 12th. She went through because of the golden jury rule, which is something that thankfully is gone. Apart from that exception, we've never had the first 3 countries qualify. This year, not only did we have the first 3 qualify, first, second and third in the running order, we also had the 4th as well and the 5th. This semi-final didn't just break one barrier, it broke the 2nd barrier and then the 3rd barrier, just breaking barriers all over the place, shattered glass everywhere. And if Poland had qualified, it would have been 6, and because Croatia qualified as well, it would have been 7. So really crazy stuff that we've never had the first 3 qualify, and then we're straight into all the first 5 qualifying. Now keep in mind that the early voting only happened in the final, so we can't even say that this is due to the new voting system starting right from the start, because that didn't exist in the semi-finals. For me, this is just a testament to the fact that this was such a strong quarter. In this quarter, we had 3 songs which ended up in the top 6. Croatia in 2nd, Ukraine in 3rd, Ireland in 6th. We also had Lithuania in 14th, Cyprus in 15th, and Serbia in 17th. 6 top 17 countries in this first quarter. Really strong. I thought it was an amazing show. It was a little bit hard to watch the first semi-final because the opening quarter was incredible, and the second quarter I thought was the weakest quarter of the 4 quarters that we had in the semi-finals. So this unusual juxtaposition of a really strong opening to the show and a much weaker end, in my opinion. Audience kind of backing me up in that as well, because if we look at the results, the only second half country in the top 6 is Luxembourg, who came 5th, Cyprus and then in 6th, and then we get our next second half country in Finland. Now, considering the advantage in the running order in being later, you would expect more second half countries to be higher up. So this is just kind of a little bit of a testament to the fact that the first half was just stronger. So in fact, if you add up the points on the first 7 countries compared to the last 7 countries, you can see the difference here. And you can see that these countries really turned around some really bad qualification rate numbers. So Cyprus qualifying from slot number 1, which only had a 53% rate. Serbia and Lithuania qualifying from slots 2 and 3, which only had 40%. So doing a little bit of work in trying to improve those numbers. Serbia qualifying from the 2nd slot. They qualified from the 3rd slot with Constracta and the 3rd slot with Luke Black. So Serbia single-handedly, not single-handedly, but actually Lithuania helping them a lot as well. But Serbia doing a lot of work to improve these death slot qualification numbers. Lithuania as well qualifying from the 3rd running order slot, which prior to their qualification had a 40% rate. Monica Leo also qualified from the 3rd slot as well. So Lithuania really doing some hard work on that 3rd slot. Ireland qualifying from the 4th slot, which only had a 47% record. So yeah, these are some of the worst slots historically to qualify from, and Serbia, Lithuania and Ireland deservedly going into the final and improving the numbers for these. Interestingly, in the second half, Slovenia also qualified from one of the worst slots, number 11, which had a 40% rate, and they've improved that as well. So well done to Raven from Slovenia. So this marks only the 3rd time out of 32 semi-finals where more songs have qualified from the first half than the second half. The other 2 times were both in 2018. I don't know what the hell happened in 2018. But yeah, 3 out of 32 is only 9%. So in terms of the first half, second half battle out of those 32, 21 wins for the second half, 8 draws, and now 3 wins for the first half. And this ends a 10 semi-final streak where the second half has won over the first half. So great for that to end. Although the streak is restarted now because in semi-final number 2, the second half won there 6-4. So the streak restarts. It was a very shortly dead streak. Another thing this shows is that the automatic qualifiers being early didn't affect. So one of the things that myself and others were worried about is that the automatic qualifiers lengthening the semi-final may mean that countries earlier on were disadvantaged. That doesn't appear to be the case because 6 out of 7 of the first half songs made it through. So obviously we need a little bit more data if they're going to keep up this automatic qualifier thing for next season, but it does look like it's not going to have a negative effect on the countries earlier on. So that's really good to see. Okay, another main story for this semi-final for me is that the televote doesn't hate ballads. We've had this televote only system now since last year. This is the second year of having it, and myself and many others have been concerned that televoters just don't like ballads. I was very concerned about Portugal, Slovenia and Serbia. I know Slovenia isn't really like a full-on ballad. It's a little bit more on the kind of dark emotional side. I was concerned that we'd only get 1 or 2 of these 3, but we got all 3. Now, having said that, they came in 8th, 9th and 10th place, so it wasn't like they were storming in, but we did get all 3 ballads making it through to the final, so that's really, really good to see. I think this sends a message that ballads can make it, but they have to evoke some emotion. They've got to have good staging. They need to look really, really cool and interesting. I think that if you're going to send a ballad where someone's just standing there doing nothing, that's not going to work. But if you send something like Portugal had this incredible interpretive dancing, really, really stark minimalist staging. Slovenia had this beautiful animalistic, ritualistic Caravaggio style painting, dancing. Raven doing incredible animalistic pulling at her own skin. I loved her handography. And then in Serbia, just going for this absolutely beautiful image with the lighting on the rock, these thunderstorms bringing up emotions, and then the beautiful Ramonda flowers. So you can go through with a ballad, televoters will react to you, but you've got to bring a story, something beautiful to the stage, something to get people through those 3 minutes. You can't just stand on the stage and just hope that a beautiful voice is going to take you through. I think that this televote only system is good at stopping too many ballads going in, but then it also puts a check in place that if you are going to send a ballad, you've got to do some creative staging. You cannot just stand there and look pretty for 3 minutes doing nothing. So I think that this system is working really, really well because we are getting the good quality ballads going through to the final, but it's stopping people just sending like kind of lazy generic jury bait songs. Meanwhile, televote friendly songs go through to the final. At the end of the day, it is an entertainment show, so having those go through is going to be good for ratings and just keeping up the general entertainment of the show. I think it's working so far because really this year I felt we had a huge variety in the final. There was no part of it that I felt dragged. I loved having those ballads in the finals. I thought they were brilliant and they really popped because we had a lot of more up-tempo, lively, strange songs, and then you would have these gorgeous ballads in between, and they didn't add any drag because they kind of gave a moment of relief from some of the more high energy songs. Okay, now let's look at the points distribution. So first, let's see the countries who qualified. How many sets of points did they receive? The top 5 countries, Croatia, Ukraine, Ireland, Lithuania and Luxembourg, received points from every single country. This has got to be your go-to strategy. You know, this just shows universal acclaim across Europe. People from all different backgrounds, north, south, east and west of Europe, all loving your song. That's what you're going for, something that is just great. It's a great song. You're not going for a diaspora. You're not going for a certain market. It's just good quality and everybody appreciates it. So great to see that from the top 5. We can also see Portugal here in 8th. Also got points from every single country except for Sweden. Now these were slightly lower points because you can see Portugal got 12 from Luxembourg. Otherwise they weren't in the top 5. So 12 from Luxembourg, and then 6th to 10th with everybody else, and then Sweden, they got nothing. Cyprus got points from 13 countries, Finland from 13, Slovenia from 12, and Serbia from 8. Now we can see here of the countries that didn't qualify, Australia getting points from 13 countries. We'll come back to that. Poland from 9, Moldova from 7, Azerbaijan from 6, and Iceland from 2. So you can see here there's a very clear correlation between the amount of countries who vote for you and whether you qualify or not. So this is going for that broad appeal, people from all around Europe appreciating you. Now the standout one here is Serbia and Australia. So Serbia getting 12 points from Croatia, 10 points from Slovenia, otherwise only getting 5, 5, 5, 5-4-1. You definitely can argue that those points from Slovenia and Croatia were what qualified Serbia. On the other hand, Australia getting points from a lot of countries, but not in any top fives. So their biggest points was 5 from Finland, to Ukraine, and the UK, but nothing in the top 5, nothing 6+. For me, this is a really massive missed opportunity for Australia. I really feel like they should have taken that 10th spot, but the staging was so flat in the first 2 minutes. I felt it really popped towards the end when the Yadaki Didgeridoo player came on, brought on some amazing energy. There were some beautiful explosions on the LEDs, but the first 2 minutes of this was just way too much of a drag. I didn't feel the energy. When the dancers came on, they just kind of walked, didn't dance or do anything. Yeah, I was looking for some pulsating energy towards the start, and I just did not get it. I feel like they should have watched Gustav from Belgium last year, who I felt really brought like a warm energy to his show in the start, introducing characters, introducing this family feel, and I just didn't get that from Australia. So I feel like they really missed an opportunity, having a significantly better draw, being close to the end compared to Serbia, who were second in the running order. And at the end of the day, this I really do put down to Australia not grabbing that opportunity. Surprisingly unexciting staging for them, because usually Australia I think are excellent at staging. I thought Sheldon was great, Kate Miller-Heidke was amazing, Voyager last year just brought fun and energy and happiness with the car, just more going on. This year I just didn't get that vibe. So yeah, a little bit disappointing for Australia. Their excellent qualification streak has taken a little bit of a dent, but yeah, still in 11th place. Serbia maintaining their record of always being in the top 11 of every single semi-final they've ever been in. The 3 times they didn't qualify, twice they were 11th, and once they were 10th, but they got knocked out because of the golden jury rule. But other than that switcheroo between Serbia and Australia, the countries who got the most votes from the most amount of countries were the ones who qualified. So that's what you got to do. Just please everybody. Maybe easier said than done. One nice stat from this year is that if we add up the countries from the bottom 4 in the semi-final, we have 69 points, whereas in semi-final number 1 from last year, which also had 15 countries, if you add up the bottom 4, they only had 24 points. So a much better distribution of the points this year, more countries getting more points. Last year, it was super top heavy, and they had the countries at the bottom which got like 3, 4, 10. This year, much healthier numbers. It looks better. It really sucks when you go to Eurovision and you get 3 or 4 points. That's not great. So at least Poland getting 35, that's a healthy amount, and getting points from 9 different countries. Moldova from 7, Azerbaijan from 6. Iceland getting a low score. I don't know what they're thinking with that song choice and also with its staging. I definitely think that Iceland need to shake things up a little bit. This is their second non-qualification in a row, after having come out of a really strong period with Hat3 being an amazing entry in 2019, and then coming into being one of the favourites to win in 2020, coming 4th in 21, qualifying just about in 22 with a really gorgeous song, and then since then just kind of going off the boil a little bit. So yeah, Iceland needing a little bit of a revamp. Okay, let's go from top to bottom and just give a quick commentary on each one. So Croatia winning the semi-final, their first time ever being top 3 in a semi-final, and not only being top 3, but they won it. So this is really incredible for them, and I hope that there can be more of a momentum. I have to admit, I'm super excited for Croatia, because this is the second year in a row that they've really done something very left field that's been really excellent. I know a lot of people didn't care for Let 3 last year. I thought they were fantastic. I thought their visuals were amazing. Really great people, very fun and positive. This year, I think much more popular. 13th place last year, 2nd place this year, 2 qualifications in a row. I'm looking at Croatia now to be much stronger. I'm expecting something a little bit weird. I hope they don't go back to this kind of like basic bitch pop era that they had before, where they had 4 non-qualifications in a row. I'm hoping that this will inspire Croatian artists to have a little bit of pride now, that they feel like they have to defend this kind of cool left field identity that they're building for themselves. So really excited for what Croatia is going to do next year. I'm not saying that HRT are completely off the hook. Dora this year was a little bit of a disaster. The fact that they didn't even put Baby Lasagna into the Dora final. He was the first alternate. Shasha had to pull out for Baby Lasagna to even go in. That's absolutely scandalous. There has to be some restructuring within the Dora selection system if they are putting out someone who won the televote, won the semi-final. That's absolutely crazy. But still, let's focus on the positives. Really fantastic from Croatia being in the top 5 with every single country who was voting. 12 points. That is really magical. Yeah, like wow, you can't beat that. They were top 3 in 14 countries. Really excellent from Croatia. Second place for Ukraine, who maintain their 100% record, the only country who still have their 100% record, and they are 14 out of 14 qualifications, only 4 points away from Croatia, also getting points from every single country and being in the top 3 of 16 countries. So UK putting them 4th and Serbia putting them 5th. But yeah, universal acclaim, gorgeous staging, fantastic song, really, really well sung. This is what Ukraine do every single year. I know some people are going to say that this is a solidarity thing, but Ukraine were 4th in the recent rankings before 2022. Even in 2022, Stephanie was 3rd in the odds before the war escalated. So look, Ukraine have always been strong. Let's not kid ourselves that this is just some new thing that's appeared in the last years. If Ukraine had been like always last place and then we're suddenly coming 3rd, I think there'd be a little bit more of an argument for it. So will Ukraine ever not qualify? I don't see it happening anytime soon, maybe 10, 20 years in the future if they just lose interest in Eurovision or something. But at this point in time, they're sending really great artists, really cool, interesting songs that show off their culture. They put a ton of effort into the staging. They send something that's really, really beautiful and emotional. That is a great strategy that's just going to keep qualifying them. They've never been outside the top 8 of a semi-final. So they haven't even come close to non-qualifying. They don't even want to entertain the thought of coming 9th or 10th. Top 8, that's it. That is an incredible stat, so it's not going to change anytime soon. It has to happen at some point. Is it going to be the year 2083 or something? Who knows? It has to happen at some point, but I don't think it's happening soon. 3rd place for Ireland. I cannot believe that I'm saying those words. Ireland came top 3 in a Eurovision semi-final. Am I delusional? At the start of the season, I just wanted to qualify in 10th place with 15 points. That is actually possible. You could qualify with 7 points. I did the numbers last season. But yes, I would have been happy with that. To qualify in 3rd place for me is just incredible. Amazing from Bambi though. Just this feels like such a sea change moment. I feel like they have really set the tone for this is what's possible if you are a good artist and you're creative and you just blow people's socks off. Like no more excuses, no more BS. If you don't do well, it's your own fault. You need to just bring an absolutely magical show that Bambi brought. Every single country voted for them in 7 top 3s. No 12s, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, Ukraine and Croatia were kind of 12 hogs, hogging up all those 12s. There were a couple other 12s going around. Ireland gave their 12 to Lithuania. Moldova gave their 12 to Cyprus, as did Azerbaijan. Those 12s were a little bit unusual to me. I'm not sure if maybe she did some promo there or if it's more just that Moldova and Azerbaijan kind of are feeling these girly bops very early on in the show. A little bit surprised by that. And then Croatia giving their 12 to Serbia, not too surprising there. But yes, no 12s unfortunately for Bambi, but still they got the 12 in the final, which I'll talk about when I do my grand final video. So the previous best result in a semi-final for Ireland was 6th. Ryan O'Shaughnessy came 6th in 2018 and Jedward came 6th with Waterline in 2012. They're actually 8th with Lipstick, which is a little bit surprising because that came 8th in the final. So 8th in the semi-final and then 8th in the final. That's kind of unusual to happen. But in any case, yes, Bambi getting the new record, 3rd, our first ever top 3 in a semi-final. Hopefully not the last. Hopefully we can keep on a little bit of momentum for it next year. Another interesting thing to note is if you look at Croatia and Ukraine, they have around 170 points. And then there's this huge drop, 50-point gap down to Ireland, Lithuania and Luxembourg in 3rd, 4th and 5th. And then there's another huge 50-point gap down to Cyprus and the rest of them all the way down to Serbia. So very unusual spread of the points where you have 5 countries, a plateau up to 3 countries and then a plateau up to these top 2. And then those top 2 ended up both being top 3 in the final. So semi-finals definitely being an indicator for what's going to happen in the finals. Still a big thing. Do producers look at the numbers? They say that they don't. I don't know if I believe them. It definitely looks like those numbers give a big clue as to what's going to happen in the finals. So if you did have a sneaky peek, would anyone blame you? I don't know. Okay, in 4th place we have Lithuania, also getting points from everyone. And the really nice thing about this is, first of all, it was 3rd in the running order slot, so to get points from everybody so early is great. Also, Lithuania has a reputation for having a really passionate diaspora, but this just shows that this went beyond diaspora. This was just a great song. People like this. There are a couple of bits where it's stronger, like 12 from Ireland. There's a huge Lithuanian population in Ireland. Hey, Lithuanian besties who live in Ireland. And then also 12 from the UK. There's also a lot of Lithuanians in the UK, but they got points across the board. Everyone loves Sylvester. This was an amazing show. Really my favorite Lithuanian entry ever. Really, really deserved. I was a little bit iffy about if it could make it before, but when I saw the rehearsal, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It totally deserves to be in the final. So really, really happy for Sylvester Belt. And I still got my little nose thing, which I have to work out. I've got to work out how to keep it on my face. I haven't worked it out yet. I'll have to get some plasters or something. Okay, in 5th place we have Luxembourg. This did much better than I expected. Now, I thought that Luxembourg was going to be a little bit on the borderline. Have to admit, after I saw the rehearsal, I thought that it really popped in the second half. Again, second half for me was very, very weak. So this just brought a little bit more energy, thought. It just looked a little bit put together. Some of the LEDs were dodgy, I'm not gonna lie. I liked the female jeweled tiger rushing towards and growling. I liked it, but I like goofy, cheesy things. So yes, that's not really a good barometer for whether it's tasteful or not. It did surprise me how well this did. It got points from, again, all 18 countries, which is very impressive. 4 top 3, so much more in the middle. A lot of 5, 6, 7s. It did get 3 8s and a 10 from Portugal, which I thought was a little bit unusual. I wouldn't have thought this is kind of thing that Portugal would go for. If you're Portuguese, leave me a comment down. Does that surprise you that Portugal gave this second in the televote? Really great return for Luxembourg. I think that this will buoy them a lot. Hopefully they'll look at what they did right, what they did wrong, and come back with a little bit of a stronger strategy next year. Try and bring a little bit more originality and authenticity, but keep some of the things that they did well. One of the things they did well was spend a shitload of money. Let's be real. Nothing wrong with that as a strategy if you want to go bling bling, baby. Capitalism in Eurovision. Okay, then we have our big drop down to Cyprus. Again, getting points from 13 countries, very impressive. The 12 from Azerbaijan and Moldova, as I said earlier, I felt was a little bit surprised by. I do associate Azerbaijan with kind of enjoying these very beautiful female acts with kind of high energy. I associate them with Azerbaijan. I do think that they often give their high televote points to those type of acts. Moldova, a little bit more surprised by. I'm not sure if maybe she did some promotional work there or something, but still amazing for Celia Kapsis, such a young artist. Great to see her being so successful again after what happened last year with Victor Vernikos. I actually saw the other day that when Lena won with Satellites for Germany, she was only 19. So there definitely is a place for young artists. We just need to make sure that they are supported and it's a safe environment and they can have fun and not feel too much pressure. And I think that the Cypriot delegation did a good job at giving her staging that suited her strengths so that she felt comfortable and could relax. And very well done to Cyprus. This is their 8th qualification in 9 years. Very hard to argue with their girly bop formula that they're using. It's working 8 out of 9 times for a country that has only 1.2 million. I don't know how you can argue with that. Well, you probably can if you're a girly bop hater. Okay, in 7th place we had Finland. I have to admit, I was surprised that this did so low. I was quite confident that this was going to qualify, but I thought it would get a bit more love. Points from 13 countries, only 1 top 3 though, and that was from Sweden. Sweden kind of throwing out an olive branch after the kind of slight friction that happened last year. So Sweden trying to mend some of those bridges. Yeah, I thought this would do a little bit better. I have seen some people talking about how this is like the end of novelty acts. I just think that this semi-final was very strong. So I think 7th place is actually pretty, I think that makes sense. I have to admit, overall, I pretty much completely agree with all of these results. Like on a personal level, I probably would have put Australia or Poland in instead of Luxembourg just because I preferred the song. But I'm not denying for a second that Luxembourg deserved that place. I really do think the 10 who went through were kind of the ones who put forward the most complete packages. So again, I think this televote system is working really, really well. I feel bad for the 5 that didn't get through, but I don't think there's any massive robberies here. Again, 8th place we have Portugal. Really interesting again that they got points from almost every single country, a lot more of the lower ones. This is very similar to Estonia from last year. Alika got points from every single country, but came 10th in semi-final number 2, got through to the final, got a really, really good jury score. I think she was 6th or 7th with the jury. Portugal doing the same. They came 7th with the jury in the final. Didn't do so well with the televote, and they ended up getting a top 10 ranking in the final. Okay, in 9th place, Slovenia. Also a teeny tiny bit reliant on this help. 10 points from Croatia, 10 from Serbia. Really nice 7 points from the rest of the world, which I kind of felt saved them. If Serbia or Croatia hadn't been there, I think those 7 points from the rest of the world actually would have been what just crept them in to the top 10. And great to see that Slovenia reversing the being in that unlucky 11th song slot. Serbia in 10th place, who I already spoke about, and 11th Australia, who I also spoke about as well. Poland in 12th, getting one top 3 finish with Iceland, but otherwise, yeah, just not having enough countries vote for it. I have to admit, some of these countries I do associate with kind of Polish diaspora or being neighbours. So UK, Ireland, Lithuania, Ukraine. I don't know if there's a big Polish diaspora in Iceland. I think maybe just Icelandic people loved Luna's crazy. I loved Luna's staging. I thought that she would have been great in the final. So I wouldn't have begrudged this going through, but it does look like the places with more Polish diaspora she got some points there, but outside of that, just not enough broad appeal across the whole of Europe. Okay, 13th place for Moldova. I have to admit, I felt like Moldova kind of checked out. I got a feeling from the Moldovan delegation that they were just kind of like saving money. They paid their participation fee. I think maybe they did a little bit of an analysis that they didn't have much of a chance to qualify. I think a lot of YouTube people were saying that they weren't going to make it through. In the bookies, they were very low. And then the staging just looked like it was kind of economical, for lack of a better word, just some LEDs, her standing on her own, not exactly spending the big bucks. So maybe Moldova kind of realized that this wasn't going to work this year. Let's save some money for next year when we've got something that's got a little bit more of a chance. But still kind of cool that they managed to get 20 points anyway. 7 countries giving them but nothing in the top 5. 14th Azerbaijan getting 6 points from Moldova, but other than that, 5 10th place finishes. And then Iceland right at the bottom, only getting 3 points, 1 from Cyprus, 2 from Sweden. Okay, let's look at how the rest of the world voted and see in our second year now, is there a pattern starting to emerge? 12 points went to Ukraine, who last year were an automatic qualifier, so they didn't have a rest of the world vote in the semi-finals. 10 points for Ireland, who didn't get any points in rest of the world last year. Croatia getting 8. They got 3 last year. 7 for Slovenia, who also got 6 last year. I wonder with that Slovenia one, is that a little bit of a fan vote? I wonder if that is the Eurovision community making themselves heard, because I do feel like a lot of Eurovision fans loved Raven, felt that she was a little bit of danger. So you have people all over America, Canada, Hungary, UAE. I saw they actually left a list of the countries that voted the most in the rest of the world. So I wonder, are your fans from that country, did they vote for Raven to give her these extra points in the same way they voted for Joker out last year? So that could be an interesting thing to watch out for next year. Is it a Slovenia thing, or is it Slovenia sending beloved acts and then Eurovision fans voting for their beloveds to try and put them through? Luxembourg getting 6 points, Lithuania 5. So obviously Luxembourg weren't there last year, so we can't compare. Lithuania getting 5. Last year they got 4. Serbia getting 4. Last year they got 2. In the semi-finals I'm talking about. These are comparisons to the semi-finals. Portugal getting 3. Last year they got 6. Australia getting 2 points, and last year they got 7. And finally Finland getting 1, and last year they got 10. So not too much of a pattern emerging there, really. It does look, actually, if you look at the results of the semi-final, the rest of the world voted for 9 of the 10 countries who qualified, and the one who didn't go through was Australia, who were in 11th place. So rest of the world really seeming to match the overall results in just appreciating the songs that were potentially the strongest. So which country was the best at guessing all the qualifiers? And it was Croatia. They guessed, now obviously if you qualify you can only give points to the other 9, and Croatia did that. They gave points to the 9 other qualifiers, and then their 10th set of points went to Moldova. Luxembourg also guessing all 9 qualifiers other than themselves. Their 10th set of points went to Australia. They gave 3 to Australia, who didn't qualify. So Luxembourg and Croatia being the bellwether states for this semi-final. Okay, let's have a look at the updated qualification streaks right now. We can see Ukraine plus 14 leading the way. Serbia on plus 6. Now Serbia in a little bit of trouble because this is the second time in a row that they've qualified in 10th place. Luke Black, my favorite song from last year, also qualified in 10th place. And also I felt was a little bit reliant on diaspora as well. So I don't know if there's any big lessons for Serbia to take from this. They are qualifying, but it is by the skin of their teeth. Do they possibly need to make some changes? I still think that their entries that they're sending are wonderful, but do they maybe need to make a couple of staging changes maybe? I feel like the staging this year with Ramonda was maybe a little bit more could have happened in the first 2/3. I thought the ending was wonderful and the flower coming out and this kind of like thunder lightning storm, but maybe something could have happened at the start. In a similar way to Alika Bridges, I felt like she had more going on the stage with the piano playing itself and her moving around a little bit more. So maybe there's a little bit of space here for Serbia to elevate their staging so that it's less of a razor edge qualification. Finland moved to 4th in a row. This big change that they've had with DJ Orchidea coming in and doing a revamp of UNK is doing really, really well. Portugal also doing a revamp of Festival Kansai. They're on a +4 as well, as are Lithuania, who also did a revamp of their national final. Eurovision.lt. There's a pattern emerging here. If you want to do a little bit better, maybe revamp your national final, Ireland. Give yourself a standalone national final instead of piggybacking onto the Late Late Show. We can see Croatia on that +2 streak, which I talked about earlier, which is really great for them. Slovenia +2, since they've had a couple of changes, 2 internal selections in a row. I think that system's working well for them, and I think they should continue. Cyprus on +2, but keep in mind they are 8 of the last 9, and Ella from Andromache should have qualified. That staging just went completely flat, but really they should be on a 9 qualification streak. We can see +1 for Luxembourg, giving themselves a 100% record. Is it as impressive as Ukraine's 14 out of 14 100% record? No, it is not. Absolutely, definitely not. Nowhere near as impressive. I will give that a little bit more weight when they get to 2 out of 2, 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4, etc. But really, really great start from them. That's all that they can do. Ireland being +1, very beautiful to see, ending this 6 non-qualification streak. I probably will do a video about Ireland later in the season, what's right with Ireland, talking about all the things that we did right this year in comparison to previous years. I did my what's wrong with Ireland video, so maybe that will be coming up later in the season, so subscribe to my mother loving channel. On the flip side, we have Moldova on -1, Australia -1, Poland -1, Azerbaijan -2. They really do need to shake things up. What are they doing? What is their strategy? I didn't understand the staging this year. Thought the song had something to work with, but then the staging was all these blacks and grays. No beautiful ethnic flourish or colors or wisps of color as I was kind of hoping. So it looks like they're trying to forge their own path, but I just don't think it's particularly working yet. Maybe they just need to keep chipping away at it. This is the 2nd year in a row they've sent a male duo. I don't know. I feel like there's delegations kind of secretive. I don't hear that much about them, so I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But 2 non-qualifications in a row from a country that used to have a 100% qualification record. Okay, Iceland I've already spoken as well. They're also on -2, and that's it for the semi-final 1 countries. Thank you so much to Lois for supporting me on PayPal, and thank you so much to Jerry, Miscanth, The Dutchie, and Rob for supporting me on Super Thanks. If you want to support the channel, I'll have links for you in the description down below. Of course, thank you so much to all my patrons for patronizing me from all around the world. But most importantly, thank you so much just for being here and maybe leaving a like and maybe sharing the video. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah.